Planning a wedding and feeling overwhelmed? Simply Eloped makes it easy. With over 1,400 elopements and vow renewals planned and 37 stunning U.S. destinations, our planners have you covered. Our all-inclusive packages connect you with over 700 top-tier vendors, cutting stress, cost, and complexity. Your love story deserves ease. Let us handle the hard stuff. You just show up and say, I do. Start at simplyeloped.com. Last week, the Parker administration made a huge announcement. The city is scrapping a policy that mandates that a certain percentage of government contracts go to minority, women, or disabled-owned businesses, a decades-long diversity, equity, and inclusion initiative. And people had mixed reactions about it. But yesterday, Mayor Sherrell Parker held a press conference detailing a new plan, touting it as a DEI model for the future. Anna Orso, City Hall reporter for the Inquirer, joins me to explain what this all means for Philly. It's Wednesday, November 19th. I'm Trenae Nuri, and we're talking politics. When I saw this headline in the Inquirer, I was like, excuse me? But Anna, first, can you just explain to us how this program aimed at supporting minority-owned businesses works? Because this wasn't just like a recent diversity, equity, and inclusion push. It started back in the 80s.
Correct. So in the early 1980s, Philadelphia began instituting what's commonly known as set-asides, but is basically just sort of target amounts that the city wants to spend each year of its contracting dollars that go specifically to businesses that are owned by people of color, women, and later on, people who are disabled were added to that group. So when this started, it was 25%, and over the years, that amount has raised to 35% of all city contracting dollars. And this is something that has been really core to the agendas of a lot of past mayoral administrations, including Sherrell Parker's.
What does it mean to actually get one of these like city contracts? This is like a big deal for a business, right?
It can be a huge deal, and there are plenty of businesses that are entirely supported by city contracts. If you think about a firm that creates, I don't know, let's say, for example, there's a local firm that creates business cards. And there's a lot of competition maybe in both the local and the broader national market. But if you're what's considered a historically disadvantaged business, say you're owned by a Black woman, you would have a certain advantage to getting a city contract because you're considered historically disadvantaged. So the city might give you, an additional bit of consideration because they want to support businesses that are owned by people who might not have had opportunities in years past. So if you think about like public works and construction makes up the biggest amount of this, street work, things like that. It's all done by contractors and outside companies. These are the people who are supporting the streets and sanitation department in fixing the roads, installing street lights, putting up security cameras, things like that. That's a huge part of city contracting dollars. But they can also include things like computer software firms, office supply companies, things like that. Anything that can support the city in helping it run is oftentimes contracted out. If you sell business cards and you get a city contract for $5 million, that could change your life. It could change your livelihood. It could certainly change your business just to create business cards for, say, one agency in city government. So it's a really big deal if you're a small business here in Philadelphia and you get a city contract like this. The city government has a general fund that's about $6 billion a year. More than $1 billion of that is city contracts and money that's paid out to outside firms. When you break that down even further, we're talking about more than $370 million a year in city money that goes to these historically disadvantaged firms. So if we're changing how we are describing and defining historically disadvantaged firms, that impacts a ton of taxpayer dollars.
I want to talk to you just about how so many people are reacting to this, but why is this happening? Is there some type of actual threat from maybe the Trump administration about cutting Philly's federal funding if we continue these DEI efforts? Or was there a potential threat? Or is there something else going on?
So the Trump administration has made clear that they will consider stripping funding away from jurisdictions that have DEI programs that they consider to be illegal. There has been no specific threat to Philadelphia, as far as I know. It hasn't been made publicly. And the Parker administration says that they made this change not as a result of, any response to the Trump administration, but as a result of shifting legal precedent. That really starts with the Supreme Court's 2023 decision striking down affirmative action in college admissions. And since then, there have been a variety of cases in lower courts that have basically ruled that using affirmative action style programs in other forms of government can be considered unconstitutional.
Interesting. We've got more on this conversation after the break. ArtStar represents local artists and crafters through their retail shop down in Old City and various bazaars and markets throughout the year. Their next event, the Holiday ArtStar Craft Bazaar. It's happening November 22nd and 23rd from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Event Center at Rivers Casino, featuring more than 80 curated craft vendors selling a variety of handcrafted goods that will be perfect for holiday gift giving. There's going to be make and takes, food, drinks, a raffle, and tote giveaways. Make sure you're there at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. They're giving away 75 free totes each day. There is a $3 entry fee from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., but it's free in the last hour from 4 p.m. to 5. Kids under 12 are free all day, and there's free parking on site. Learn more at artstarcraftbazaar.com.
Guess what? CityCast has some news. I'm Sean McPherson, the host of CityCast Twin Cities.
And I'm Jane Sihu, and I'm the host of CityCast Seattle. Hey, if you have a friend in one of our cities, can you text them for us?
Yeah, something, simple like, hey, how's that rash doing? And do you listen to podcasts? Because I have one you're definitely going to like. After that, tell them that CityCast has helped you become more informed, more involved, and more connected to your amazing city.
We're going to help that person you know in Seattle who's been trying to make friends.
And we're also going to do that for that guy you only kind of knew in college who moved back to the Twin Cities after graduation.
Don't we all have that guy?
Yeah, and usually that guy is named Todd.
So did you text them yet?
Jane, let's just wait a minute. We don't want to rush anybody. We'll do a little small talk. How's everything going in Seattle?
Beautiful, beautiful. Fall leaves popping. How about Twin Cities?
Today, beautiful and sunshiny in St. Paul. Okay, Jane, I bet they are done texting by now, and I just want to remind them, hey, you, please tell that friend to subscribe to CityCast Twin Cities or Seattle, wherever you get your podcasts.
Or if you don't want to text them and you're really just on Instagram sending them DMs all the time with funny videos, send them a DM of our latest videos. You can find us at CityCast Twin Cities or CityCast Seattle on Instagram. Thanks.
Now, I just want to point out over in Montgomery County, which is a little bit outside of Philly, that county has expanded their DEI office. They've hired 4 new employees. So that just makes this even more surprising that Philly is taking this action. So what I hear you saying, Anna, is that Philly doesn't want to get mixed up in some legal challenges?
Yeah, that's correct. And I will also say that different jurisdictions are going to assume different levels of risk. And what we've seen from the Parker administration and from the city solicitor here is that they have not wanted to assume high levels of risk. We've seen several other cases of this administration sort of proactively making changes where they say, look, we think we might lose in court on XYZ issue. And so we're going to go ahead and make the change proactively rather than lose a lawsuit. Sherelle Parker has herself been really careful in how she talks about the Trump administration specifically. She doesn't really outwardly criticize him or the administration. And she said that, she's really most concerned about preserving the millions of dollars that Philadelphia gets in federal funding every year. And that she's really just kind of wants to have her head down and keep focused on her agenda. So it's certainly possible that the folks in Montgomery County are just simply maybe a little bit more willing to go out on a limb.
Yeah, because it was weird to have our city's first Black woman mayor reverse a policy that would help so many different communities in our city. And so I actually went back to listen to her budget address in January, and she said her goals were to create economic opportunities for all communities. And especially as we get closer and closer to 2026, and there's going to be a lot of economic opportunity because everyone's going to be coming to the city for the 250th anniversary of our nation. So it feels odd. It was confusing. And I guess maybe like totally caught me off guard, especially as a Philadelphian, especially as me as a Black woman. I felt like, what kind of message does this send to our communities? Because I think people are looking for Mayor Parker, who's been such a champion of our city. I think they're looking for her to maybe have their back.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, Trenae, when I first heard about this, I didn't believe it. I started reporting on this a few weeks ago when I obtained a letter from top Parker administration officials to agency heads alerting them of this change. And I will tell you, when I saw the letter, I thought that it was made up. I thought it was an error because Sherelle Parker, even before she was mayor, uplifting Black-owned businesses has been core to her political identity.
Absolutely, yeah.
She founded the Office of Minority Business Success, and so I totally agree with you. It doesn't exactly jibe with who she is. So what I would say is that I do think that she really thinks that this is the right legal strategy for the city, and I think that she truly wants to avoid outwardly, sort of boxing with the Trump administration like we've seen other mayors in other major cities do. You look at what's going on in Chicago, and Brandon Johnson is that kind of vocal advocate that I think that you're alluding to, that a lot of people want to see from Sherelle Parker. She's taking a very different approach, and I think that she's hopeful that in the long run, her approach will win out.
Okay, Anna, what is City Council saying about this? Do you think that they're going to be pushing back on this?
So we heard pretty immediately from City Council member Kendra Brooks, who is a progressive, and she's been very critical of the Parker administration. She was very disappointed in this. She said Parker needs to stop, quote, caving to the Trump administration. There were two other members, Cindy Bass and Curtis Jones Jr., who each said that they were looking forward to hearing more from the Parker administration on why this change was made and are going to look for ways to try to reverse it. But importantly, Council President Kenyatta Johnson, who really controls the flow of legislation in the chamber, he had Mayor Parker's back. He defended her decision here. They are close allies, and he rarely, dissents from her in public. And this wasn't a time that he was going to. And, that was a surprise to me because Kenyatta Johnson has himself said that 50% of city dollars should be going to Black-owned businesses or minority-owned businesses. And so it's been similarly core to his political identity. But he defended the mayor on this and said he thinks that she's walking a fine line and trying to make sure that the city doesn't get sued.
Anna Orso, City Hall reporter at the Inquirer. Thank you so much for talking with me on CityCast Philly today.
Thank you so much for having me, Trenae.
And stay with us, everyone. We have some more news about the big change after the break. After I spoke to Anna, the mayor called an unexpected press conference yesterday afternoon. It was an indication that maybe she had gotten some criticism about this. And she talked publicly about why she scrapped the business diversity requirement that had existed for so many decades.
The old system is a broken system. And now it's our job and our responsibility to fix it. And that is exactly what we are going to do. The reality is Philadelphia's DEI and contracting policies are in violation of a U.S. Supreme Court ruling from 2023 in a case involving Harvard University's admissions policies. We are following the strict advice of our chief legal officer, our city solicitor, Trenae Garcia, as well as the outside counsel that we affirm. Now, I didn't write those laws, Philadelphia. I don't even support them. I don't agree with them. But as the mayor of the city of Philadelphia, it is my job as the leader in this city to make sure we are governing ourselves accordingly. And that's the way we will fight.
Mayor Parker said the first reason for getting rid of this initiative was to comply with a 2023 Supreme Court ruling that struck down affirmative action and race-based admissions at Harvard University. The second reason, she said, was that the old system just didn't work because only 20% of disadvantaged businesses registered with the city's Office of Economic Opportunity actually won city contracts. So to replace the old initiative yesterday, she signed an executive order that she said still upholds her values and the city's values.
You've heard all weekend from the chattering class about this issue. On today, I'm here to talk about our future together and how we will turn what has become a national crisis into an opportunity here in the city of Philadelphia for minority-owned businesses, local and small businesses. We are also going to formally and officially sign an executive order today, starting us on this new path. Now, we need to be on this path together. And this is what I affirmed last night. Legally, we need to make a shift to be in compliance with federal court orders, including a ruling from the U.S. Supreme Court. But long before that, we've all known that the programs that we had in place were not working.
The order will give preference for city contracts, not to those operated by minority business owners, but to, quote, small and local firms. To qualify, businesses will have to show that they mostly employ Philadelphians and mostly do business in Philly. We're still digesting this news and plan to talk more about what this means and how both elected officials and business owners feel about this shift away from DEI. So stay tuned to CityCast Philly for our Friday news roundup. That's all for today here on CityCast Philly. If you enjoyed this episode, please share this with a friend. Also, rate the show, leave us a review, and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to sign up for our morning newsletter, Hey Philly, to learn more about what else Philly's talking about. And don't forget, you can support our show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Philly neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Bye.